Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to season 3, episode 1 of Weekly Picks, second season in a row with my friend and co-host on many shows, Brett McDurphy from Go Bills Podcast. We're really excited this year, obviously, because it's football, but I feel like it's going to be a really interesting year, not just for our team, but for many teams. How you feeling, Brett?
Man, I'm excited to be back with you. This is 2 out of 3 years that I'm back on the weekly picks, and I couldn't ask for a better host to have with me. And it's a new slate. I got you last season, but if I can go for the two-peat, that's always good. But we might be splitting it at the end of the season.
Yeah, we're going to see. So just to go over some of the ground rules again for people that are new, basically you have to pick an upset of the week, and by upset of the week, it's not like, oh, the Ravens over the Chiefs. Like, that's not an upset. I mean, you can go that route, I guess, if you want to pick a technical upset as far as line goes. But for me, an upset of the week, I'm not going to say mine really, but for example, it'd be like the Jets over the 49ers. And I
Right.
know I'm on high hopes on the Jets, but as of right now, they haven't done anything yet. They haven't played a game yet. So the 49ers were in the Super Bowl last year, or even the Cardinals over the Bills. That's a true upset of the week. So that's what we look for. And you get an extra point if you hit your upset of the week. Something we didn't even do last year was you can kind of wash a game out where you're like, I'm not too sure. Panthers and Saints, they're both kind of trash. I'm just gonna forfeit it and get no points, and but we didn't really do that. So maybe we'll need it this year. And yeah, really, I can't really think of anything else, Brett. How about you?
No, I think you covered everything very well, Sean. Only thing I would add is we don't have it this week, but probably in the next couple of weeks we'll put the spreads of the games on there, and just so that
Right.
you guys are aware of the biggest spreads that you'll see. But this week we won't. We might not have them. We'll see how the video goes, and we'll try and get them uploaded for you guys. But next week we will have the biggest spreads as well.
For sure. And obviously, don't take what we say about, oh, I'm going to bet money on this game. We're not for betting purposes. We're just talking about our opinions on the games. Quick dive in. Well, it won't be too long each week. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. We got a really good friggin' matchup. Week 1, game 1, Ravens at Chiefs. Obviously, the Super Bowl winner gets the first game of the year. And we got that game one of the years against the Rams after they won. And it was a pretty exciting. Last year was Chiefs Lions, also a really exciting game. We got Ravens and Chiefs again. So, Brett, I'll let you take this one first. Who you got and how you feeling?
Yeah, this is a game. I mean, for me, I love what the Ravens did in the offseason, adding Derrick Henry. And I think that the Kansas City Chiefs did a good job of getting their wide receiver room a little more stability to them. They lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but they brought in Xavier Worthy and a couple of other pieces. It's really the popcorn matchup that I'm looking forward to this week, where I'm going to be glued to the TV at all times watching the game. I think this is a game, and it's going to be right at the end of where Lamar is going to lead the team, and then Patrick Mahomes comes down the field and gets the game-winning touchdown. So I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to win this one, just because I have a feeling that Steve Spagnuolo is going to have something dialed in for Lamar Jackson to stop him.
Yeah, I had the Chiefs too, and I do like also what the Ravens did, but they did lose their left guard, their right tackle. They do have a guy that we liked a lot, Andrew Voorhees, who missed the whole year last year. He's going to be stepping up this year, so it'll be exciting to see him. I mean, the Ravens they don't have a horrible O-line, but it's just new pieces everywhere. So, week 1, they might have a little bit of issues. They still got Zay Flowers. They didn't really – I mean, I can't think of anything they did in their their offense besides adding Derrick Henry to the mix. And again, I still think it might take a couple weeks to get that run game going to where it could be. And again, the Chiefs, they're much better than last year on paper. Like you said, they got Hollywood Brown won't be playing, but Xavier Worthy, the defense, yeah, they lost L'Jarius Sneed, but well coached, and I think they'll be solid. So yeah, I got the Chiefs winning this one. It'll be a great game though. And then the Packers and Eagles, they're playing in Brazil in my wife's home state. And real quick, is off the topic real quick. It's just so funny. You see all over the place. People are making up false statements about the place is a horrible place to be. There's, you can't wear green because of gang violence. And all that was just a bunch of bullshit that was made up by people that didn't know anything about it. And I mean, because first of all, you're from you're playing in Philadelphia, one of the worst states in the United States, and you're complaining about other countries that have crime rates. Every country has a crime rate, but
Right.
where they're playing is a big city that it's no different from any other big city. Beautiful places. Some people do crime, some people don't. So, and I take a little bit of offense, obviously, because it's my family now, and
Right.
talking bad about where they're from, and it's just not like that whatsoever. So, all the players are like, "Yeah, I don't got no comments on it. My family's not coming." Like that's a little. You're listening to stuff that's not true, and you listen to people that have no experience being in Brazil or Sao Paulo at all. So again, really stupid, especially like what was his name? The coroner Slay. Dude, you played in Detroit and Philadelphia, two of the worst places you can be in the
Yeah.
world, and you're complaining about going to Brazil. So yeah, stupid, kind of dumb when you don't know what you're talking about other places. But anyway, this is another really good game. Packers, they rode a high horse at the end of that last half of the year. They won a playoff game in dominant fashion. A lot of people are high on them. Jordan Love got a big paycheck after a half a year of good football. Now the Eagles, they started off 10-0, then they finished 11-6, and they looked horrible. They got bounced in the first round of playoffs. Jalen Hurts was average, didn't look good at all again. But they got some players on that offense. They got Saquon Barkley, they got AJ Brown, they got Devonta Smith, two wide receiver ones, and they got a really good tight end. They lost Jason Kelsey, but they still have a really good O-line. Their defense is going to be humming, so it'll be very good. I got a little bit of questions on the Packers defense, and again, week one, you don't really know what these teams are about. So as the weeks progress, we'll know more and more about how each team has been playing with their new pieces, and then the predictions will be a little bit more accurate. But I feel like the Eagles are going to take this one. I just feel like they're more sound, and I think their offense is just going to be really good this year.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying there, Sean. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the most slept on teams this season, especially after the collapse that they had towards the end of the season and into the playoffs. I think this game really comes down to what type of Jordan Love we're going to see, and if he can lead the Packers and do what he did in the second half of the season there. But it really comes down to him and Josh Jacobs. If he can get going, this offense of the Green Bay Packers is going to be incredible. They're missing A.J. Dillon. That's going to hurt them a little bit. But adding in the pieces that they did and the wide receivers that they do have there, this is still a very young team with Matt LaFleur at the head coach. But I like what they have there. And then on the other side of the ball, with the Philadelphia Eagles, like you mentioned there, Jalen Hurts struggled in the second half of the season. They were really missing a run game. They also have two excellent wide receivers in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but they also have Dallas Goedert and a defense that collapsed so much in the second half. So for me, I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers get the win here. And this will be one of the games that I would be definitely think it's going to be a close one, but it's going to come down to just a couple of better plays. And I think that especially being on a game that's in Brazil, that's going to help the Green Bay Packers instead of playing inside Lincoln Financial Field.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that game could go either way as well. Packers still got good offensive players, but got to see how Jordan Love is going to rebound. I think he'll have a good year, but I mean, we'll just got to see. You got to do it again. And we got Panthers at the Saints. So again, two teams that are looking to be pretty bad in the NFC South. The Panthers did put a lot of effort into the offseason, though.
Yeah.
They had guys like Robert Hunt to the right guard on the offensive line. They got still got Adam Thielen and Xavier Leggett. So yeah, they're made some moves, try to bolster up that O line. They had another offensive lineman. I just can't remember his name, but yeah, they're trying, and they got the quarterback whisperer over there, Dave Canales. So expect for Bryce Young to not be like elite or anything, but make a step in his game. And I don't think they'll be the number one pick this year, but I also don't think they're going to be great.
Right.
I don't know if Adam Thielen is going to produce 100 catches like he did last year, but at the end of the day, they still got a lot of question marks on defense. I really don't like the Panthers' defensive line, and I think they'll. I don't know. It's tough for them to win a lot of games, but I think they'll win this one. I don't think the Saints are that good either, so I got the Panthers winning this one.
I'm on the other side of the board with you, Sean. I mean, you said it with Dave Canales and everything. I think that they're going to be ready for this game, but I just think that the Saints are one of those teams that they're one win and then one loss, one win, one loss. And I think this is going to be one of those games where they win divisional opponent. And we haven't really seen some good play out of Derek Carr, especially when he has been with the New Orleans Saints. So I think this is going to be one of those games that the Saints defense is going to play very well. I just don't see enough weapons on the other side of the ball with the Carolina Panthers. They got Adam Thielen. He's getting older each and every year. And Bryce Young, we haven't seen enough out of him. It just depends on what type of play we're going to see, but I just have the Saints winning this game. It's going to be close, but the Saints pull it off at the end.
Yeah, I love that. Two bad teams, but usually two bad teams playing against each other could be a good game. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then Titans versus Bears. Bears is a really hyped up team this offseason. They did finish 7-10, so they weren't horrible, but they added a lot of pieces. They got Rome Odunze. They still got DJ Moore. They got Montez Sweat in the middle of last year. Tremaine Edmonds is coming back healthy, who, again, I wasn't a big fan of, but still a name to add to that defense. And then, can't forget Caleb Williams. Their offensive line is getting better every year. So, and they added DeAndre Swift at running back. So they're really, really, really hyped up. But at the same time, this Titans team, who was really bad last year, everybody thought, they're going to be rebuilding. But they went out and got guys like Tony Pollard, Tyler Boyd, and they're really trying to, make a Calvin Ridley. And you're like, yeah, these guys aren't letting up. They're trying to win some games. They got L'Jarius Sneed too, and they traded that linebacker. They got the linebacker from the Rams, who you talked about the other day that we should maybe go after. So they're sneaky. They're sneakily stacked team. Tony Pollard's still a good running back. So maybe their offensive line is still a question mark, but they got some young talented guys the last couple drafts. So I don't think the Titans will be as bad as people think. I think they'll give a lot of people hard times, and they'll definitely shake things up in their division. I still think they'll get last, but they'll be a pretty decent team. I still got the Bears winning this game, though. I just feel like at the end of the day, the Bears, they have a lot of firepower on offense, and I just got a good feeling that the Bears defense, which kept them in a lot of games last year, they'll be week one doing pretty well. So the Titans, they're not horrible, but they won't have DeAndre Hopkins. He's still out. And then I just got a feeling that the Bears corners will have a good time against Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. But Titans are still a sneaky good team, but I got the Bears winning.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on this one, Sean, especially with Matt Eberflus as well as Ryan Pace there. They know that their time is limited in Chicago. They have to understand that they have to put the right pieces together. This was an offseason this year where we thought for sure Eberflus was going to be out of Chicago. They gave him another season. And it really depends on what type of defense we're going to see from the Chicago Bears. There's so much hype right now with all the additions that they've added, and having the number one pick to get Caleb Williams and having 2 first-round picks, getting Rome Odunze later in the draft, which is where they're supposed to draft. I think this is one of those teams that the expectations are so high on them. I think of the 2023 Buffalo Bills. I compare them exactly to the Chicago Bears here. This is one of those teams that all the pieces are there. they got to take it deep into the playoffs in order to keep Eberflus in Chicago for another season. If they collapse and they don't do it, then they're going to be in big trouble, and they're going to lose out on their head coach. The division is one of the toughest, I'm going to say right now. You got the Lions, you got the Packers, and you have the Bears all competing. Minnesota is not going to be a slouch either, even though they have Sam Darnold, but they have Justin Jefferson as well. So it just comes down to, for me, I think that the Chicago Bears are going to beat up on them pretty badly. But we'll see what Caleb Williams does early on in the season. He has all the weapons in the world to throw the ball to. You got Keenan Allen there as well, and you add in Rome Odunze, and I'm going to forget the other too. Yeah, you add him in, and it's going to be one of those games that I think the Bears are going to be able to run all over them. And I'll tell you this too: the run game of the Chicago Bears is going to come out. This is one of those teams that's got all the right weapons in place with a run game that, especially in the winter, they're going to be able to run the ball and make some moves.
Yeah, and again, another quick sidebar. Kind of sucks when you see other teams really build around their young guy. Well, it doesn't suck, but when you're a team who still hasn't really built around their quarterback and try to put him in the best situation to be the best version of himself and be successful, it kind of sucks, because if Josh Allen had the situation in his rookie year, he probably would have had a really good year and developed a lot sooner. And, people always say, oh, Diggs made Josh Allen. But at the end of the day, just having Stephon Diggs and a bunch of guys isn't really enough to really say this person made someone. And, because you can look around the league. Garrett Wilson's a pretty good wide receiver, right? But Zach Wilson still sucked. Tim Boyle still sucked. At the end of the day, they both work in tandem. But, man, if you could have surrounded Josh with Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, who's a number one receiver, and Keenan Allen, who is a little bit older but was a number one receiver, plus a really good tight end with a good defense and a good running back, it does wonders for someone. And it's funny, he gets compared a lot to Mahomes, and him and Mahomes both went into the best situations you can go into as a quarterback as your rookie year. So he should be successful right off the bat. I'm not gonna say he needs to be an all-pro or anything year one, but if Williams isn't successful this year, you kind of got to scratch your head maybe he isn't that guy, because all the team that's around him, anyone could produce with this team. So we'll see.
When you look at the Chicago Bears and all the quarterbacks that they've had as of recently, you look back, Jay Cutler, Rex Grossman, add in Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields. You got to wonder, is it really the quarterbacks, or is it the organization for what they're doing and not developing a quarterback and letting him just get the playbook down packed right away, and they're throwing guys on right out there in the flesh to not have success.
Yeah, it's that. I think it's coaching a little bit too. Just like the Jets, they always say, "Oh, we need competent quarterback play," but the Bears won 7 games too, and they had a bad quarterback. So it's the defense can do so much. Even if you have a good quarterback, you're still going to lose some games. How many times did we have a top defense and Josh Allen, we still lost 6 games? It's not guaranteed anything. But then you got the Texans and the Colts, which is a really good matchup. They split last year, and again, Colts, they had a backup quarterback for 85% of the year, but they were able to run all over the Texans, and they still got Michael Pittman. Hopefully Richardson can stay healthy and Jonathan Taylor can stay healthy. They added Adonai Mitchell in the draft, and Colts still have a really good offensive line, probably one of the best top 10 in the league. Not what they used to be, but they still got a great offensive line. Still got led by Quentin Nelson. Defense is a little bit shaky, but it's not my upset of the week, but I got a feeling that the Colts are going to edge this one out just because they're just a really good matchup against the Texans. And if Jonathan Taylor can do, I think he had 200 yards rushing against them last year in one game, just dominated them. I think he could do that again. So let's see.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Sean. I think that the first game, especially with all the weapons around CJ Stroud, you got Tank Dell, you have Stephon Diggs coming in. You add in Dalton Schultz to the mix. They have everybody that you want. And then you look on the other side of the ball, Shane Steichen gets the chance to have Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor on the other side. Really a game of which offense is going to be better. And I just have this feeling CJ Stroud's going to continue off of what he did in his rookie season. It's going to be a close game, but I just have this weird feeling with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor not understanding and being on the same chemistry. It's going to take a little bit of time for them to develop together and what type of offense you're going to see from Shane Steichen early on. So I have the Houston Texans winning this game, but I think they will split later on in the season.
Yeah, I can see that. Then we got our game. Cardinals are coming up to Buffalo, and I know I'm pretty sure you're going to do a pregame. I'm going to do one this week, and then we got our pregame on Nickel City Mafia. So we'll get into more detail there. But all I'll say about this game, without getting too much of a deep dive into it, is there's not many games on our schedule this year where we have a way better roster or not a gimme game, but we should win this game. This is one of those games. And I know week one, the way I feel about week one is, yeah, it doesn't dictate the whole season, but it's good to win and start off on a good note. So just if you lose week one, doesn't mean that your season's over. But in our case, if you lose to the Cardinals week one, and then you got Miami, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Houston, the Jets, you can start off and your season's over pretty quickly. So this is a game where I need Buffalo to come out, firing on all cylinders, defense playing well, running the ball well, Josh taking his time and getting the ball to the open guy and not trying to just push it downfield the entire time, and then just playing smart football, being able to tackle. They got some weapons on offense: Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, James Conner. So yeah, they're going to have some good players on offense. Kyler Murray's back. He's a dynamic quarterback. Whether he's whatever people think about him, he can run and pass. So it's going to be really important for our pass rush to contain him inside the pocket. Don't let him get loose, and try to make pressure on the inside as well. Their defense isn't that good, so we might be able to put up points. But again, it's a week one where neither of our teams really played a ton with our quarterback. Well, we only played a little bit with our quarterback. They didn't play any of their starters, I don't think, in the preseason. We played a lot of our starters, but again, without the quarterback, it might be a little bit different. So yeah, we're a better team. We got a better roster. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Buffalo's going to start the season off 1-0.
This is one of those games for me, Sean. I mean, I look at it and yes, Buffalo should win it. Absolutely, they should. The Cardinals have one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL in Kyler Murray. I know you're going to probably disagree, but when Murray's on the field, there's some magic that can happen out there.
He was in MVP talks. They were 10-0 at one point before he got hurt a couple years ago when they were in the playoffs. Yep. So,
and for me, I look at it and I go, this is a game Buffalo should win. This is the game that all the pieces that are in place with the Cardinals, they have such little experience together, but the Cardinals can come in and they can right the ship and they can show what type of team that they're going to be this season. I do have the Buffalo Bills winning this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. It's going to come down to the defense getting a stop. You look at the Bills this year, and they have a new starting safety room. I think that one of the safeties is going to get a pick to seal the game. But don't be surprised and don't sleep on the Arizona Cardinals this season. I'm going to tell you guys that. I won't go into score predictions, but it's going to be one of those close games for sure.
Yeah, I agree. They might not make the playoffs. I see Kyle Brandt said they're going to make the playoffs, but they're definitely going to be competitive in a lot of games because they beat Dallas and Philly last year, and they were in a lot of games. The only problem is their defense, I believe. But then you got the Patriots versus the Bengals. Again, Bengals kind of contract disputes with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow coming off another season-ending injury, and the Patriots, again, they got a couple playmakers, but overall, this team on offense and defense is just – they're going to be all right because their defense is going to keep them in some games. But as long as Jacoby Brissett's out there, I just think they're just a a meh team, and they might win 3 or 4 games. And luckily for the Bengals, they're going to start with the Patriots. We don't get to play the Patriots till 2 of the last 3 weeks. So our season might be over, maybe possibly by then if we don't play well in the beginning. So it won't even matter. But yeah, the Bengals, they still got playmakers. Like, again, Joe Burrow. I don't think he's a top 3 quarterback, but he's still a great quarterback who, with surrounded by immense talent his entire collegiate and pro career. I think they'll be a decent team. I think they're not going to be what they used to be, but I think they'll be all right, and I think they'll beat the Patriots. And whether Jamar Chase plays or not, they'll beat the Patriots. And I think Joe Burrow and T. Higgins will be able to lead the team. And they still got Mike Gesicki. I think Zach Moss is their starting running back now.
We also have Chase Brown too. Don't forget
Chase Brown, and their defense has still got a lot of stars on it with their defensive line, Hendrickson and Hubbard. So yeah, looking forward to see how they respond after last year missing the playoffs.
Yeah, this is one of those games for me. I mean, I look at the New England Patriots. They don't have enough weapons whatsoever, and they're a rebuilding team, rebuilding franchise with a new head coach in Gerard Mayo, and the Cincinnati Bengals team that just comes out of the gates with expectations with Joe Burrow finally healthy again. Their expectations are to go deep into the playoffs again. And the past few seasons, the Cincinnati Bengals have struggled out of the gates, just like Buffalo has. I think this is one of those games where you get a win and you get the momentum going in the right direction for them. But I think they're going to start off strong in the early few games that they have this season, and they'll be back into playoff contention very early on.
All right. Then you got the Florida, 2 of the Florida teams, Jacksonville against Miami. This game, to me, the 2 pretty good teams. I think Dolphins have a better roster for sure. But again, Jacksonville was 8-3 before Trevor Lawrence started to play injured, and then they finished 9-8. But they added Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr. They still got a great defense. They got Josh Allen on defense, Trey Walker. They added Eric Armstead as a defensive tackle. They got Oluokwan, I think is his name, is at linebacker. He's a tackling machine. Andre Cisco back there at safety, I believe. So yeah, Mitch Morse, offensive line, helping bolster up that front. And Trevor Lawrence, he's all right. I don't think he's elite, but I don't think he's horrible. They'll win a lot of games this year, but Miami's just a way better roster. I don't think they have a better coach. I think Peterson's a better coach, but at the end of the day, the Dolphins have a better roster. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Tua Tagovailoa. They're gonna. I got it like 21-20 for them, like a really close game, but it'll be the Dolphins will have no problem pulling this one out. It may be close, but it won't be till the end when the Jazz try to crawl back in, but it'll be too late.
Keep from the red, white, and ruthless, as well as from the AFC Summit. He's going to be happy as can be to hear me say it. I think the Dolphins are going to win. They're going to crush opponents this year, just because they can put up so many points with 2 excellent wide receivers in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. This is one of those games where the Jaguars, they go one way or the other. I think they're going to be a good team this year, but I think they're going to struggle early on in the beginning games, and they'll finally find momentum towards the middle part of the year, but it's not going to be against the Dolphins.
Right. I hear that. Yeah, hopefully, because we played them week 3, so hopefully we take care of business finally with them. Yeah. Then you got the Vikings and the Giants. So both teams kind of added a couple good key players, and one of them is Brian Burns for the Giants. Vikings, they still have Jordan Addison. Justin Jefferson is fully healthy. So that's another addition where they didn't really have him fully healthy last year. But they added Andrew Van Ginkel as an edge rusher who was pretty solid in Miami. But they lost their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who people had high hopes for. But at the end of the day, Sam Darnold, I feel like, can get the ball to Justin Jefferson. I think he can get the ball to Jordan Addison. So, and they what's his name? Aaron Jones at running back. And they got TJ. No, they don't got. Yeah, they got TJ Hockenson.
Hawkinson's on PUP.
Who's on PUP?
Hawkinson.
Okay, well, they still got him anyway. But he won't be there for this game, of course, but they got some weapons. So as much as Sam Darnold failed as a Jets quarterback, how many quarterbacks succeeded as a Jets quarterback? Mark Sanchez, in the last 20 years. So that's an organization. I know we're piling on the Jets, but they haven't been able to develop quarterbacks. So I think Sam Darnold, with all these weapons and a great offensive-minded head coach, I think they can win some games and compete. So I got, again, the Giants. They got so many holes everywhere. I'm just not too high on them. So I got the Vikings taking care of business here, actually.
This is one of those games where I don't even want to watch. I want to throw the towel in and just, move on to next week. But we got to cover it. I mean, that's the thing about it is
It's one of those ones.
I like what both teams have done this offseason, even though Sam Darnold's the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. I look at the run game that they brought in for the Vikings. I think that's going to help them with Aaron Jones being there. On the other side of the ball, I look at the New York Giants, and they have Malik Neighbors coming in. You add in Devin Singletary to the mix. Brian Burns to go along with Dexter Lawrence there.
Kayvon Thibodeau as well.
And Tavon Thibodeau, yeah. And James Bradbury there as well. You got a lot of weapons there in Brian Dable's system. This is one of those games, man, I'm going to tell you right now, it can be a coin flip. I'm going to say that right now. Give me the upset of the week, though. New York Giants to beat the Minnesota Vikings as my upset of the week.
So this is what I mean, guys. He picks two of the worst teams and says, "Oh, it's an upset of the week." But we let Brett have it. He likes to take the easy way out, but
that's not an easy way out because nobody is expecting the Giants to win games right now. I mean, I think the expectations are high on Daniel Jones to fit. You look at what he has around him. Everybody thinks that he's going to fail. He has to understand that the New York media, the pressure is on him right now, especially with the Jets and everything that they have there with Aaron Rodgers and all the weapons there and being the Super Bowl favorites. Expectations are on the Giants right away to get success. And Brian Dable has to understand that he has to get the job done because, and I'm going to say it right now because we're allowed to say it on your channel, but his ass is on the line.
Yeah, it is. And, he hitched his wagon to Daniel Jones thinking he could turn him into Josh Allen. And then he realized that he didn't make Josh Allen and Josh Allen made him. So he found out quickly. And then now he's trying to backtrack, blame, I don't want Daniel Jones. Or he didn't say it in those words, but basically talking trash on Daniel Jones when he didn't ask you for you to co-sign him. You went out publicly and said, I believe in him. We're going to pay him money. You did. Now you're stuck with him. And now you say, well, I wanted to trade up to get I wanted to get Jaden Daniels, blah, blah, blah. Well, now let's see how good of an offensive mind you really are. And you got weapons around Daniel Jones, help him out. And poor Daniel Jones, the media's after him, and he knows his coaches don't want him. So we'll really find out a lot about him this year. But another good game coming up, Pittsburgh versus the Falcons. So the Falcons are another team that is really, really, really exciting to hear about this offseason. Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. They got Bijan Robinson. They still got Kyle Pitts, Drake London. And I want to say they got another offensive weapon in the draft. But their defense was pretty solid in years past. And then their offensive line is always pretty good. And, just adding a guy like Kirk Cousins to a team that never really had a quarterback since Matt Ryan already cements them into a pretty decent team. There's a really good guy I'm forgetting. I know I just can't think of his name right now. So if you can remember it, that'd be cool.
Yeah, they got Jace McClellan in the 6th round. They also got Casey Washington in the 6th round, but they got Michael Penix Jr. obviously in the with the first pick. Man, I'm going to tell you this right now: the return of Arthur Smith coming back to the Falcons and going up against his old team. You know damn well he wants to get a win here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Pittsburgh, I mean, they're always fighting. They got a great head coach, great defense. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Joey Porter Jr. They're a fierce competitive team, and offensively, Najee Harris, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. And I think, again, people hate Russ, but Russ played really good last year for Denver. The team sucked, but I think he had 26 touchdown passes and only 8 picks. So he did pretty good. And he's not prime Russ anymore. So that's a really good season for him. So if he can do that with Pittsburgh, they can probably make the playoffs. So although I don't pick Pittsburgh to win this game, I got the Falcons winning this game. This will probably be an exciting one to watch, though. Two pretty good defenses against each other. Again, I think the Falcons got a good offensive line, great running back, great receivers, good tight end. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game, and Kirk Cousins going up against Russell Wilson, kind of the old school veteran quarterbacks in the league. I do have the Falcons winning this game as well. I think that this is going to be one of those ones that, even though the Steelers defense is really good, there's too many weapons. You got Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London, Bijan Robinson on the other side of the ball. You add into the mix Tyler Algier there as well. I just think that there's too many weapons there for the Falcons to put up points, and the Steelers are going to struggle 0-1, but I'll tell you damn well that Mike Tomlin's going to make sure that he has this team ready, and they're not going to be under 500 this year for the first time in his career. That's not going to happen. I'll promise you that.
Yeah, I kind of, again, I'm not a Steeler fan, but because of having a nice track record like that, I hope he keeps it. But next game, Broncos at Seahawks. The Broncos are another team where they're riding with a rookie quarterback. They got a couple weapons over there. Cortland Sutton is a really big-bodied receiver with great hands. They got rid of Jerry Jeudy. And honestly, I don't even know who else they really got on offense. So, I have to do hopefully get to watch them and do some more research on them. But I don't think they have much. Their defense wasn't that good. And you saw what happened last year with decent quarterback play. And Seahawks got a great offensive line already. And then they added Connor Williams from Miami, who was ranked in the top 5 center for the last couple of years that he was healthy. So that's going to bolster up that front with Kenneth Walker. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf, an aging Tyler Lockett, but still productive. And then Geno Smith, who it seemed like he had a resurrection a couple years ago. And they're at Seattle. So I got Seattle winning this game. I think they got more firepower.
Yeah, there's a lot of firepower from the Seattle Seahawks, but you mentioned some of the wide receivers that are in the Denver Broncos. They have Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds that they picked up from the Lions in the offseason, Marvin Mims as well, another great receiver. But they also added in the draft Troy Franklin out of Oregon. And you go back to the running back room as well, Javonte Williams. And then behind him, you have Jaleel McLaughlin, who is kind of emerging into the starting running back there with Bo Nix in the mix as well. And you got to remember, Zach Wilson, third-string quarterback for them after Jarrett Stidham beat him out. I mean, listen, moms love Zach Wilson. So
they do.
This is one of those games, though. I think the 12th man is going to be very, very tough when you travel to Seattle. So I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks, though. You mentioned the wide receivers that are in that room with Jackson Smith and Jigba, as well as DK Metcalf and the aging Tyler Lockett. I just think that the Seahawks have a lot that they need to figure out, especially on defense, but I think they're going to get it done.
Love it. So I got my upset of the week. I know it's similar to what you kind of had, two kind of bad teams, but one of the teams is very hyped up because of their new head coach. But we got Raiders versus Chargers, and I'm picking the Raiders to upset the Chargers. Again, they might not even – the Raiders might be favorited, but I think this is a team where a lot of people are just like, oh, the Raiders, they don't got anybody on their team. They don't got high hopes. But I think they might have one of the best defensive lines in the league this year. I did my Greg Rousseau video where I compared his numbers to his peers, and Max Crosby had a case for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
and got subbed from that, and you got him, and now you got a guy like Christian Wilkins next to him, who, a lot of people I love my Dolphins friends, but a lot of people are in that community are high on Zach Seiler because they produce similar sack numbers. But in my opinion, Seiler was the cleanup guy, and Wilkins is the enforcer who draws the most attention.
Yeah.
And Wilkins still put up all those stats while being the center of attention. And I think when you got him next to Max Crosby, man, you're in trouble because you don't want to put Max Crosby on his own, but you don't want to put Christian Wilkins on his own. And then they got another young guy on the other side, defensive end. I forgot his name, but he was starting to come out of his shell last year and doing pretty decent. So overall, I don't know if their defense is going to be great, but that defensive line is going to be very solid. And then, you still got Devontae Adams. Gardner Minshew led a Colts team to an almost playoff berth. I think they were 9-8, and they lost Week 18 to miss the playoffs to the Texans. So, yeah, I mean, and they got Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, two of the top tight ends from the last two drafts, and they added Justin Shorter as their third tight end, so he might get on the field. But I think they got was it Zamir White as a running back, who obviously isn't Josh Jacobs, but the Raiders usually have a pretty decent O-line. I know they got some turnover there. They lost Illuminor to the Giants, I believe, and the right guard that we had, what the heck is his name? He played for us, or Van Roten. He did really good last year at right guard for the Raiders, and I think he's gone and went to a different team.
He did.
So yeah, so they got some turnover, but they also drafted Jackson Powers Johnson. I don't know if he's the starting center on the draft on the depth chart, but he had a high promise, so maybe he'll get some time in it later in the year. But I got the Raiders winning this game, and they're not going to be a playoff team, but I think they'll be a tough out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game where you mentioned some of the defensive players on the Raiders. You look at the other right defensive end that you were mentioning, Malcolm Kuntz, that you're thinking of. You're missing. But they also have John Jenkins out there as well. And in the second string for somebody that can come in, you have Tyree Wilson as well. So
another young guy.
This is definitely going to be a game where between two teams that are struggling right now. But I do think that the Los Angeles Chargers are going to be ready to go with Jim Harbaugh. And we kind of haven't seen Justin Herbert take that step in the right direction towards leading him to being a top 10 quarterback. I want to see him take that edge to get into the top 5 for quarterbacks. And I think that this is going to be one of those games where he emerges, especially with not a lot of weapons out there, but he's going to showcase that he is one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL this season.
Yeah, they got rid of their 2 receivers, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. They did draft Vlad McConkey, but they also got rid of Austin Eckler. And Joey Bosa hurt his hand. They still got Khalil Mack, but the Chargers seem to not be doing Justin Herbert any favors. Then you got another good game, which is very hard. It was very hard for me to pick, but Cowboys versus Browns. And the Browns last year, they were 12-5 with Joe Flacco without Nick Chubb. So this team can play. Another well-coached team with an offensive-minded head coach. The only reason why I'm definitely leaning Cowboys though is what is Deshaun Watson going to be like? I know Joe Flacco, obviously he's old, and you would think that Deshaun Watson's better than him, but Deshaun, even though he was 5-1 when he played last year, he still wasn't the same guy that you saw his last years in Houston. So I think maybe after a couple of weeks we'll know what kind of Browns team we're really going to get. But this team's got the potential to be a 1 seed and also miss the playoffs. So, they're that one team where it's like, man, we really don't know about this team because they have the highest of height potential and the lowest of low floor. So again, they were the number 1 defense overall last year too, and again, produced without their best weapon, Nick Chubb. So it'll be interesting to see. But I got the Cowboys winning. I just think that with CeeDee Lamb getting his contract, Dak playing for a contract, technically, they always have a good offensive line. Running backs, I'm not confident in the Cowboys' run game this year. We'll have to see after a couple of weeks. They got Trayvon Diggs back. Mike Parsons is one of the best defensive players in the league. I think they'll handle the Browns week 1.
Yeah, they're also going to miss Deron Bland as well.
That's right, yeah.
With them, but I think that they have enough weapons to get the job done. The problem is, like you said, the Cleveland Browns defense is one of the best in the NFL, and you add in Myles Garrett out there, who's always wreaking havoc on the quarterback, no matter what team he goes up against. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those games that Dak Prescott's going to have to throw the ball a lot in, especially without having a running game. And if you look back to the last couple of seasons, the Cleveland Browns have done a great job of stopping the run. So it's going to be a one-dimension game. You add Denzel Ward into the mix, taking away CeeDee Lamb. It's going to be difficult there. Do I feel like the Dallas Cowboys have enough weapons out there besides CeeDee Lamb? I don't really know. I think Jace Ferguson's going to have a big game. That's going to be difficult, though. They do have a couple of good linebackers. I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to edge it out in the last few seconds of the game. I know it's going to be tough to say, but I just have this feeling the Cleveland Browns have a good defense with Jim Schwartz out there.
Yeah.
And they also have a good offense, and we don't really know what side of Deshaun Watson we're going to see.
Yeah, I think they can still be a solid team. We got 3 more left. We got Washington versus Tampa Bay. Now, this was another tough one to pick because did the Bucs just kind of have a lucky year, or is a resurgence actually happening with Baker Mayfield? I mean, they weren't the greatest last year. They won a crap division, and they did beat the Eagles in the playoffs, though, which was cool to see. But then you got Washington, added Austin Eckler. They got Jaden Daniels, the quarterback. They fixed up their O-line that was horrible last year. They had a couple pieces there. I'm forgetting their names right now. I know they bolstered that up. And defensively, it's not they got rid of some of their guys last year when they were, before they got their new coach. But they have Dan Quinn as a head coach, who is a very good defensive mind. And I got a feeling that their defense is still going to be okay, even though they lost some of their players last year. They still got Jonathan Allen and the other defensive tackle that I can't remember his name. It was Jonathan Allen, and who's the other guy?
I'm drawing a blank on it too.
They got 2 really good defensive tackles. I think they both played in Alabama a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, as far as offensively goes, Austin Eckler may be past his time, but receiving back out of the backfield, still got Terry McLaurin, who is a absolutely good wide receiver 1. And I'm kind of confident in Jaden Daniels. I feel like he's going to be the most he might not be the best quarterback in the draft, but I feel like he'll be the most poised and mature right off the bat. I think that they'll have a good game plan drawn up for the Bucs, and even though the Bucs have a lot of offensive firepower, I still think the Washington will pull this one out.
Yeah, you're thinking of Deron Payne is the other defensive tackle. Yeah. They also have Cleveland Farrell, another player that's a first-round pick, and F.A. Obata as well.
He's still in the league. That's right. Old Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, and then you look into the mix. You got an aging Bobby Wagner on the team as well. Jamin Davis at the backup linebacker to Dante Fowler Jr. So they have a lot into the mix, but
sorry to cut you off, Brett. They added Tyler Biadasz at center, who was in Dallas with Dan Quinn, obviously different position group, but he followed Dan Quinn to Washington. So sorry, it popped up in my head, so I just wanted to throw that out there. But he was a great center. So sorry.
And Jeremy Chin as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Just reminding you guys of all the weapons that they do have there, especially with a new head coach there as well. But I think this is going to be one of those games. I mean, you look at the expectations for Baker Mayfield, and when the expectations are kind of on him, he starts to struggle. And when he's doubted, that's when he plays his best. But now with the new contract in place, you add into the mix, you got Chris Godwin, you have Mike Evans. I just have this feeling they're going to start off strong. Todd Bowles is going to come out. I'm going to give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the closest team to where I live, gets the win. Even though I think this game is going to be close, I like what Jaden Daniels, I should say, is going to do. But I think that it's going to be one of those games where the learning lesson is going to come into place. And I'll tell you this much too, Sean. Games where Todd Bowles goes against rookie quarterbacks, he plays his best. He dials up those blitzes. He does a good job. So I just have this feeling that they're going to come out strong.
Yeah. Again, I think that's another good game. I think this is going to be the best game of the week, though. Rams at Lions, 2 of the NFC powerhouses. And, the Rams had that year where Kupp got hurt and Stafford was hurt, where they absolutely sucked after the Super Bowl. But last year they came back and they were one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Obviously they didn't win, but they were a very good team at the end. They were smart and took Puka Nacua over Justin Shorter, unlike our GM, and he balled out. They had Cooper Kupp. Stafford still playing at a high level. They did lose Aaron Donald, but they added the guy we liked, Kyle Williams 2.0.
Braden Fisk.
Braden Fisk, and I think they added Verse as well.
Yeah.
And they had another good Taylor, I want to say, defensive end. He was their best pet, or Byron or something. Byron. He was in my video that I recently did. He had about 8 sacks last year. Yep. So they got a pretty good front. Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and I think the Rams are going to have one of the most potent offenses in the NFC for sure. Maybe even the NFL. The Lions also an amazing team. Amon St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs. They have a defense that made leaps and bounds efforts last year. And again, the offensive line, the best in the league, highlighted by Penei Sewell. And that's the other thing. When you're bad, you want to build the O-line first. And that's what they did. Right. And then when they finally were able to get players, they got players, and now they're good. When we were bad, we didn't do that. We didn't build offensive line for some reason in the first rounds. But we didn't take our young draft picks in the top 15 and get offensive line. But anyway, I think the Lions are still going to be with division winners and a great team. But I think the Rams are this is going to be one of the best games. I think it's going to be bet the over for this one.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you on that. I did want to mention that I said Byron Murphy is the other player that I was thinking of. It's Byron Young that I was.
Yeah, Byron Young. Byron Murphy's on the Seahawks.
Right. I made a mistake when I said that. I wanted to correct myself on that.
Oh, no, you're good.
You have Kobe Turner. That's another guy that I like a lot in the mix there. This is a game, like you said, Sean, where, the Lions have all the pieces in place, and the expectations are on them to win the Super Bowl now. But you have a Rams team that has kind of a young roster where they're kind of trying to develop after losing out on so many first-round picks over the last few years. They finally get those picks back, and they're developing a team that's going to be really good. I think that the Lions are going to win this game just because they have all the weapons in place right now. But this is going to be one of those closer games, like you said. And Matthew Stafford, I'm never going to take him out of a game. But with Puka Nacua as well as Cooper Kupp out there, Cooper Kupp kind of still has a little bit of an injury to him. So I think that's going to hurt him. Kyren Williams. Man, did he come on last season? I'll tell you that. But it's going to be one of those close games, but I think the Lions push away with it.
Yeah, I can see it going either way. It's going to be the best game. Then you got Monday Night Football, Jets at 49ers. 49ers got Ayuk and Trent Williams back. They were in the Super Bowl last year, and they choked again, of course, to the Chiefs. But, the Jets, obviously division rival, and not that they don't have they have a great roster. But what bothers me about the whole thing is they've earned respect without doing anything. They're Super Bowl favorites or division favorites, Vegas odds, media odds, people like that, even not in our division, but other fan bases that I hear around on the YouTube streets. They're like, oh, the Bills are done. They suck. I think it's the Jets are going to take this division. And it's like, so you're just going to automatically leave, not just us, but Miami as well. Who Miami, obviously, they haven't won a division, but they've been really good the last 2 years. So you're just going to automatically, because they got Aaron Rodgers and a good defense and a couple of players on offense, Garrett Wilson, of course, being great, Breece Hall being great. And, obviously Mike Williams is old, and I don't think he's that great anymore. But all of a sudden, without playing one single game, they're one of the favorites like that. Right. I don't remember it working that way. But I feel like I do know that Rodgers struggles to beat the 49ers. I don't know if he's either he beats them all the time or he fails to beat them. I can't remember which one, but I feel like the team he always lost to in the playoffs was the Niners. I could be wrong, but that's just what I remember from my childhood was him always losing to the 49ers. So they're still a really good team, the 49ers. They got one of the best defenses in the league. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, one of the best players in the NFL, and an efficient quarterback like Brock Purdy. Great head coach. And again, the Jets, horrible head coach, horrible offensive coordinator. So that's another thing that people need to understand is they might get the players, but they don't have good coaches. Like, look at the Chiefs. They didn't have a great roster last year, but they had the best coaches. And look what happened. They won a Super Bowl. So the Jets will be a better team than last year. They are playing with a third place schedule. So if you look at their schedule compared to ours and the Dolphins, they have a better chance of winning the division. But at the end of the day, they don't have the coaching staff. Their offensive line is on paper better, but just like I said last year about them, they're banking on people like Elijah Vera Tucker, who had 2 season-ending injuries in a row. They got 2 old tackles who, again, Tyron Smith, one of the best to ever do it, but old and not really washed up, but a little bit injury prone. And Moses, who was getting swapped out during the games last year for Baltimore. I have a friend that was a Ravens fan. I always asked him, I was like, dude, why do they keep bringing him out? The owner's trying to keep him fresh. They kept swapping him middle of the game. So, and they added the left guard from the Ravens. So a lot of new pieces on the O-line. Joe Tittman, a guy we liked. But at the end of the day, I just think the Niners are a better team, better coaching staff, and it's in San Francisco. And again, please fact check me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But I got a feeling like Rodgers struggles against the Niners in his career. So I'm going to go with that, and Niners are going to win this game.
Fact check, buddy. Rodgers is 6-7 against the 49ers.
Okay, so that was how about in the playoffs? That was what I was really talking about.
That's what I was going to say. In the playoffs, can you guess his record?
0-3.
0-4.
Okay, so yeah, I was on the right track. So
you're on the right track. I mean, I get where you're coming from.
I appreciate you double checking.
I got you, buddy. That's what my job is for here is the not co-host, but the person that's got your back. I'm supposed to be the analyst type guy. I'm your co-host, but I'm also your analyst to help you out.
You are
that Chris Collinsworth type style of person that's supposed to have all the answers that they give you in the back room.
Yep.
You know, all the statistics come in from that one guy that's in the control room, but they always bring him out there, and then he makes Chris Collinsworth look like a hero out there. Yes, for me, I mean, I think that the 49ers are going to win this one too. I agree with you, but this is a game where the Jets have a good defense. They have a good offense with some weapons out there. I just got to say, man, the 49ers, they're just one of those stacked teams. You got so many different weapons out there. It really comes down to if they can gel with Ayuk missing so much of training camp and Trent Williams missing a lot of time. Christian McCaffrey, what is he going to look like after that calf strain as well? I do think that the 49ers are going to win it, but it's going to come down to whether or not they can gel together and come out of the gates strong. But this is a game where an upset can definitely happen. I'll tell you that.
I agree. And again, we know a lot about the Jets because we see them twice a year, and they're in our division. So it's kind of our job to know them. One, as good as their defense is, one thing I just don't like about them is how quick they give up for being such arrogant unit, saying, "Oh, we're the 85 Bears. We're better than this. We're the best this. We're the best that." To have zero pride when you start getting your shit kicked in. Is that going to happen this year as well?
Yeah.
Even though you got a good quarterback, if the San Francisco 49ers put up 20 on you in the first half, are you gonna shrivel up and, oh man, we saw, oh man, I can't believe it? Or are they gonna be those dogs that they say they are and put up a 0 in the second half and then win the game 21-20? I don't know. That's the only thing I don't like about that defense, as good as they are, talented as they are. Surprised they give up as that quick, considering how good of a coordinator Saleh is. But that's all I've seen from them is quitting. So again, we'll see. But yeah, so we're just under the hour mark, and usually we try to keep between 35 and 45 minutes, I feel like. But with the first week of football, we're just all super excited. We just want to keep talking football. So we get on our rambling rants, and after week one, you start to learn about these teams more, who actually steps up, who we thought might step up. It takes a back seat. So it'll be more interesting as the weeks go on. And, we'll see who's winning after week one. And we'll see if our upsets of the week hit. And then we'll think of another bet at the end of the year. Nothing crazy like, give me $1,000. But if you guys have any ideas of what me and Brett can raffle off as a bet for me and him for the winner, you let us know in the comment section. But Brett, I'll throw it to you for final thoughts.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting week 1. I'm looking forward to the first game of the year, and then all the way down into the Monday Night Football game. I think there's a lot of great games. Get your popcorn ready. Make sure you get your jerseys ready with all your new favorite players that are on your teams. It's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you again, Sean, for allowing me to be on it for another season. And make sure you like and subscribe to Nickel City Mafia, Red, White, and Bills as well, and Go Bills podcast, where you can find a ton of knowledge from all of us with a lot of different styles that we have here. And we'll be back for another edition of our shows on Nickel City Mafia on Saturday for the Red, White, and Ruthless. Tune into there and just be ready for some football. And thank God that we're out of football off season, because I don't know what I was going to do another week without football. I was going crazy, man.
Yeah, tomorrow kicks it off, so I'm excited. But yeah, Again, appreciate you being my co-host again for another year. I'll be posting the video. Obviously this was recorded, so by the time you're hearing this, it should be Thursday, maybe even Wednesday night. But we'll be putting that video out as soon as possible. And then again, head over to Go Bills podcast, subscribe to him. He'll be putting out a pregame show this week. Again, Nickel City Mafia will be over there. And you guys know what to do over here. Hit that like button, subscribe, share the video out, comment in the comment section. All opinions are welcome. That's what we do here. We voice everyone's opinion. Nobody's too small, too big. Anybody's going to say whatever they want within reason. Obviously, don't just start cussing and saying crazy stuff. But yeah, never be afraid to show your opinions out, and tell us how we can maybe if you guys want us to show the spreads, let us know. And again, we'll try to keep the show between 35 and 45, but sometimes we can ramble, and we're just so damn excited. So just want to thank you guys again. We'll see you next time. Go Bills, and I'll see you guys then.
Go Bills.